Hi everyone, so I'm back to talk about more Dramione. So I just read the other two stories in the trilogy of Love's Bitka 8, aka Julie Soto. I read The Right Thing to Do and All the Wrong Things. I had previously read The Auction. You're supposed to read the other two first, and I didn't. But I finally finished both the other ones. So these two fics consider the same basic timeline and events from both of their points of view. And I've heard you could read them in tandem. I'm not really sure how to do that. I think I would have to lay out like what chapters would make sense to read when. But you don't have to do that. I read Right Thing to Do first and then All the Wrong Things. They both begin with Draco's trial, where Hermione shows up and eloquently fights for Draco's release. In The Right Thing to Do, we learn that Hermione works at the Ministry in, care of magical creatures, but she moonlights at a bookstore in Diagon Alley on the weekends for funsies or something. She leads a quiet, happy-ish life. Ron is off in Ireland playing Quidditch, and Ginny is her roommate, but she's busy getting it on with Harry, so Hermione is kind of lonely until Draco starts randomly showing up at the bookstore and casually flirting with her, and they develop a strange kind of uncertain friendship. This fic is heavy on Rita Skeeter, and like the press kind of factors in as a major character that influences a lot of the plot. Rita follows Draco's love life with great interest, and the stories of his love life kind of play with Hermione's head and make her feel jealous. She's frustrated with Draco's very mercurial nature, as sometimes he's like smirky and flirty with her, and other times he's like outwardly cruel. In fact, one of the times he details to her what would have happened if Voldemort had won, which was the auction. So Draco kind of disgustingly makes it sound to her like he would have sold her to the highest bidder, and makes some very crude and off-putting comments about getting more money if she was pure. I have to admit, this Draco was not high on my list of favorite Dracos. Reading All the Wrong Things did redeem him greatly to me, because then we get all of his like inner conflict. And then I thought The Auction redeems him further because he's actually then tested and, comes out looking good, but still. Narcissa begins meddling more heavily in their relationship, having Hermione to the manor, and then Lucius gets involved, demanding that she come to Azkaban to see him, and he proceeds to give her an Emily Post list of qualities he requires in a Malfoy wife, and insists that she begin training in this regard. Hermione is obviously shooketh, and tries to shut both him and Narcissa down from this plan that they have in their head, because she still thinks Draco hates her because he's done nothing to even hint at otherwise. But then a particular incident happens at a bar, I won't tell you, and when Lucius learns of it, he begins blackmailing Hermione, stating that if she does not attend the classes he insists upon, he won't release Draco's inheritance, which Draco needs to start his new company. Hermione obliges and begins attending these pure blood nightmare charm school classes, and also becomes increasingly more interested in Draco's new company, and eventually goes to work with him, hoping to actually be able to do good for the underrepresented magical creature populations. So there is a lot of idiocy and uncertainty, and it's just the slowest of slow, almost too slow burns, but they finally cave. It's not quite a happily ever after from that, because a lot of stuff happens, but it gets there eventually. So All the Wrong Things was, in my opinion, like markedly better. And that's just me, but to me, Draco's point of view is just inherently more interesting. All the Wrong Things had far more flashbacks, which I thought really rounded him out as a character and made his inner torment more gripping and real. And if you like Simp Draco, here he is big time. Okay, so I definitely think these two are worth the read, especially if you read and liked The Auction, or if you are thinking of reading The Auction, yeah, you could read these first. I don't think you have to read them to read The Auction, but I can see how it would enrich it a bit. Although, I do think that reading these first might have soured me on Lucius, because I didn't like Lucius in these. But I did like him in The Auction. I think he was a little more like fleshed out and more conflicted and interesting in The Auction, and that like might have, if I had read the other two first, I might have like not liked him as much in The Auction. I don't know. But I do think that this story, in both point of views, both stories, are very classic post-war Hermione, and they do what they're supposed to do. One thing I appreciated was just the reality of the disparity between their two points of view. In hers, like, she's like, I don't know if he likes me. Does he like me? How much does he like me? Does he want to kiss me? And in his, it's like, I want to pound her into the couch. Like, I mean, which is accurate. Like, that's just the way it is. The only thing I wish on all three is that the endings weren't quite as abrupt. I know she insists on these kind of endings, and I respect that for her. I do. But it just, after reading something that long and then to have it just be like, so I know she has written drabbles and one-shots to kind of fill in the gaps. So I guess I need to read those, but they are good, classic Hermione. I do recommend them, and I will see you next time. Bye.